Okay, so today we've been looking at static and dynamic characters. And in your reading, I'm hoping you're noticing that Kino is changing and the Pearl is changing him. And we especially see it today in only the 2.5 pages that you read. Let's take a look at what happens and how that is showing that Kino is changing. So Juana wakes up in the middle of the night and she's silent, she's quiet. It says it right here, and he watches her, and she goes outside, and he tracks her, and he's angry, and she stumbles over toward the water, and her arm is up and she's ready to throw. And so here we know that she's trying to throw the pearl away. If you recall from the last chapter at the end, she had felt like the pearl was evil and that they should throw it back into the sea or they should crush it. Okay, so here she is trying to throw it back into the sea. He wrenches the pearl from her. He strikes her. He hits her in the face and she falls. And then that in itself would have been enough, but then this part right here, he kicked her in the side. I think that when we see this piece here, this evidence shows that he's become something that he is just not what he was in the beginning of the book, where he was looking at her and he loved her and he loved his life. Um, he looks down at her. His teeth are bared. He's like an animal here, and he hisses at her like a snake. So he's not himself here. He's an animal. And it says she knew there was murder in him and it was all right. She had accepted it and she would not resist or even protest. Okay, and then he becomes disgusted with her and he turns away and he walks up toward the brush line, back toward the brush house. Okay, so at this point we see that Juana is still very accepting of Kino and his authority in her life. Okay, let's just take a look at what else happens in case you didn't understand. So then he heads up toward the brush house and he gets attacked again. Okay, it says greedy. He got out his knife. He lunged at one dark. He heard a rush. Got out his knife. He lunges, and he feels his knife go home, meaning he stabs somebody. And then greedy fingers went through his clothes. So there's got to be multiple people trying to attack him. It could very well be whomever has been sent by the pearl buyers. The pearl gets knocked from his hand, and we see it winking in the pathway, glinting in the moonlight. Now the action switches, and we see Juana down by the water. So she drags herself up. Okay, her face hurts. She is not angry at Kino. He had said, "I am a man." She understood that he would, these things about him. That the mountain would stand while the man broke himself, that the sea would surge while the man, you go to the next page, drowned in it. So she understands that this is going to drive Kino to things, but she is accepting it because she says she cannot live without a man. This really reflects a lot of the values of women, and how their role, they were very dependent on a man. Says she would follow him, and there was no question in that. And so we see Juana not changing, still, even though her husband has slapped her, kicked her in the side, she still continues to follow him. Okay, she gets up, she washes her face, and then she goes back towards Kino. She doesn't know what's going on. Okay, and as she's walking back, she sees the pearl. She sees the pearl. She went back through the line of brush where the moon was covered, and when it looked through, she sees a glimmer of the gray pearl. She sinks to her knees, she picks it up. At this point, she could have gone back and thrown it in, but she does not. Instead, she says she sees two dark figures in the path ahead of her. She leaped forward and saw that one was Kino and the other was a stranger. So she doesn't know who this is, with dark, shiny fluid leaking from his throat. And that's where you end today. Okay, so Kino is a dynamic character and Juana is a static character.